guys, it's Amanda here. Welcome back to my art channel. Today I am going to be doing the one marker challenge. Obviously, this is many markers. You guys know when I do these challenges, like the 3 marker challenge or the 10 marker challenge, I just go like next level, okay? And I make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. But okay, before I talk about that, I wanted to talk about what I think the one marker challenge is meant to do, or at least what I believe the purpose of the one marker challenge is. And basically, I think it's kind of to prove a point that you don't need a lot of colors to create something good, or you don't need 40 colors to finish a drawing. You only need a few, or in this case, you may only need 1. But the important thing to remember is that you need the right kind of colors to be able to get the most out of the marker. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have a variety or anything like that, but for this challenge, it's really best if you have a mid-tone marker. Well, if you're working with alcohol-based markers like I'm going to be, it's best to have a mid-tone marker. I'm going to be using Copic markers. Copic markers are somewhat buildable, which I will talk about when I get into the coloring. So you don't want a super light color or a super dark color. So what I did is I went through my marker collection and I picked out a lot of my mid-tone markers. I left all of my grays and all of my super light colors, like for example Y00. I mean, you can't build this up a whole lot darker than what it is. I left out the grays because I figured that would be kind of boring. So what I have here are some of my bright and bold mid-tone colors. Also, a lot of these are colors that I either have doubles of or ink refills for because I don't want to run out of ink in the middle of the video. So these are my colors here. What I'm going to do is blindfold myself, shuffle these up, pick like 5 colors, and then shuffle those up and pick 1 color. I told you, it's like next level. I don't know why I make it so complicated. All right, so I have donned the official marker challenge blindfold, and now I'm just going to be picking my colors. So I'm gonna shuffle these up a little bit. I left a little wiggle room in there. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna pick 5 colors.
Marker number 2, marker number 3, marker number 4, and marker number 5.
I'm going to be picking 1 marker, and that is going to be our marker color. I'm just gonna go for the one that's right in the middle. I feel good about it. All right, it's Y21, which, I wish I would have gotten the blue. Like B06 would have been really cool, but that's not what this video is about. So now I'm gonna be mentioning a couple of other additional tools that I'm gonna be using. I know this is the one marker challenge, you guys, but I am going to be using the colorless blender. The reason I use the colorless blender is I don't really consider it a marker. I consider it a tool, and if you're working with markers, especially Copic markers, having this is going to give you a lot more versatility with any of your markers. So I do think it's really important to use. I will definitely be utilizing it, and I will show you guys. I had to burp, sorry. I will be showing you guys how I utilize this in the video. And I'm also going to be using my Sakura white Jelly Roll pen. At least I'm assuming so. I use this in most of my drawings. I already drew the drawing I'm going to be coloring in today's video. I drew it in a Periscope stream that I did last night. If you guys want to follow me on Periscope, I will have my username down below. I Periscope sometimes, so you can check me out on there. This was the drawing that I did. I already inked it in my sketchbook, but I'm going to be transferring it onto a piece of Bristol board, and then we will get into the coloring process. I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited to show you guys how much you can do with just 1 marker. And one more side note, I know this is extra because hi, I'm extra. I also do have the ink refill for Y21 and my colorless blender fluid. again. I know this is a one marker challenge, but like I want to show you guys like some different techniques. Obviously it's very buildable, and I think that you can still learn something from this video even if you don't necessarily go all out like I feel like I'm going to. Sorry. Alright guys, so just a quick breakdown of my process behind this picture. Basically, if you only have your one main color that you're working with, it's ideally going to be a mid-tone. This is a little light for a mid-tone, as you can see. It's one of the lighter colors, but it is still pretty buildable, so I'm going to be able to show you guys what I mean with this color. So basically, you can build this up by layering it on top of itself, and it will gradually get a little bit darker that way. But if you do want to push your extra depths and shadows, what you can do is go in with your liner and do some cross hatching or some line widths. So I'll probably be doing that throughout this piece as well. By the way, this is the Sakura Pigma Micron pen in the size 05, and it's a brown liner. I decided to go with a brown as opposed to a black just because it'd be a little bit softer, which I thought would pair really nicely with the yellow, but you could have definitely used black as well. Then to add a little bit more lightness to the color and sheer it out a little bit, I'm going to be using the colorless blender fluid. You can also use rubbing alcohol or the loose version of the blender fluid if you prefer. To start out with the basics, let's just start laying down some of our color. So pretty much all I've done here is lay down where I would normally lay down my shadows. Now I am going to go up and darken these with another layer of this color, but I also want to add in a little bit more of a gradient so that this fades a little bit softer into the white. And how I'm going to do that is by shearing it out and using kind of like an ink wash technique with the colorless blender. And in case you guys are curious, I do have a video talking all about how the colorless blender and rubbing alcohol work and kind of a comparison between the two. So basically, for the one marker challenge, you almost have to rely on the white of the paper to some extent. This is how you're going to get enough variety in your picture and it doesn't look too flat. But I like to make my gradients just a little bit smoother. So what I like to do is take the colorless blender, just dab it lightly on the tip of that marker and just kind of smooth over the edges. And it's basically going to create like a really soft fade from the color to the white of the paper. I did a similar technique in my 3 marker challenge video as well. I will have all of those related videos linked down below just so you can check them out and just kind of see more techniques on like how to get the most out of your Copic markers or really any medium that you're using. So as you can see, the shadows on the face are just looking a little bit softer, and that's what we want. And what you should take from this challenge, if anything, is that consider the kind of markers that you're starting to buy when you're building your collection, because midtones can definitely be the most versatile. So definitely start investing in your midtones, invest in a colorless blender for sure. That was one of the first markers that I got when I started building my collection. And also start building up your grays. Your grays and your earth tones definitely are very versatile, and you can combine your brighter, bolder colors with your grays and earth tones, and that will make it so that you don't have to buy like darker colors necessarily, because you can get a lot of variety out of your colors by using the earth tones. So that's how I would recommend building your collection. I can do a whole video dedicated on like how to like build your Copic marker collection if you guys want, if that'll be helpful to you. I will definitely do something like that. Just comment down below if you want to see that, or give the video a thumbs up or something so I know. Now I'm going to start building up the hair color. Obviously, again, because this is the only color we're using, I'm going to color the hair using Y21. And I'm going to lay it on a little bit thicker. In fact, we can even use the chisel end of the nib just to get like a really nice flat layer of color, which will make it kind of automatically look darker than the color we applied on the skin. And then once you get into those smaller, more detailed areas, I'll switch over back to the brush pen, or the brush nib side. But even as you can see, as I get up right next to where the skin tone is, they don't look necessarily like the same color. I mean, obviously it looks monochromatic, but not too washed out, hopefully. And we'll build on this as well. Then with the brush pen, I'm just gonna go in and kind of get in all those little details, as well as kind of just starting to build up the color towards the top of her head and towards the ends of the hair. So you can see right here is a really good example of where this outer edge of the hair just has one layer of color, and then this inner part has two layers of color. And even though they're the same color, it will provide a lot of dimension. So basically this challenge is just all about getting the most use out of the supplies that you already have and finding out new ways to use them and manipulate them to look different and to look like you used a lot of different colors. All right, and we're gonna go back to the hair in a second, but I'm just gonna go in and do some details on the face. Again, I'm gonna just use this to color in her facial features. I'm also going to use the colorless blender to pick up some of that color and give it some dimension. So like in the eyes, I'll go in and kind of make like a little shine, which can look really cool. And I'll do the same thing kind of on the center of the lower lip. Then I'll just go in with my multi-liner and just kind of finish drawing in the pupil. And the lashes, of course. And then I'm gonna add in just a little bit of like line weight around the lips, just to kind of make it look like they stand out a little bit more against her skin. And then I'm gonna go in with the white Jelly Roll pen and add in some more details there. So that's, I think, all I'm gonna do for the face. For the hair, I am going to add a little bit more dimension by just adding lines in it. Essentially, the darkness of the lines against the color is just going to kind of give it the illusion that the color itself is darker. I'm just gonna kind of add in some line width and then also just some lines in general, just kind of following the direction of the hair I've already drawn. All right, so as you can see, that just makes the hair look quite a bit darker just because of all the lines that we added. If you want to add in more shading elsewhere, like to give the look of shadows, I would recommend cross hatching. So this is just basically lines, or, well, I mean, hatching or cross hatching would work. So I'm gonna be doing some of that around the piece as well, like under the nose, because I really like to accentuate that shadow. A little bit under the chin. And again, this doesn't have to be super heavy-handed. It can be very buildable. So just start slow and then build up as you see fit. Under the neck. And then cross hatch it this way. And you can see it'll just provide you with a little bit of shadow. Doesn't take much. All right, so this is basically like where you could stop if you were doing the traditional one marker challenge. As you can see, I did create quite a bit of variety, at least for what I had, which was these tools here. Again, I know some of you might consider using the colorless blender cheating, but honestly, I would just look at it as a valuable tool, and if you have it, then use it. That's what it's there for. I'm just gonna kind of play around with some of my own little techniques and kind of just have a little bit more fun with this piece in general. So what I'm gonna do is just take a little bit of the colorless blender fluid, and then I also have some of the Y21 ink refill, so I'm gonna be using that as well. Basically, I'm just gonna kind of dot this around the piece and dot some of this yellow shade as well. So I'm just gonna kind of like dot this in various places. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of that and then go in with the colorless blender fluid and dot this around as well. And then this just kind of diffuses that color, makes it a little bit softer. I feel like yellow, at least in this kind of yellow, just looks really good when it's really soft and diffused. It looks very glowy, so that's what we're going with. And this will dry too, so don't worry about like the look that it has kind of just right around the paper where I'm putting the ink. That will evaporate. But that's pretty much it. I mean, as you can see, one tool did give me a lot of variety. So this is just kind of a way for me to show you guys, like, you don't need a bunch of markers. Like, yes, I could have pulled in some deeper browns and some deeper yellow shades and some more peach tone shades for the skin, and maybe even some pinks and some purples. But I didn't need to. You can definitely get pretty far with just one marker. So I urge you guys to look at your own marker collection and see what you can create with just one color. It is a good challenge. It's a good way to step outside of your box a little bit. It also does force you to rely a little bit more on your inking abilities and the tools that you use to ink your drawing with and everything like that. So it is a great challenge. Thumbs up if you liked this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. I post 1 to 2 videos every single week here on this channel. So if you want to keep up with what I do, then definitely subscribe. And I will see you guys Friday with my Artsy Fartsy Friday video for the week. Bye guys.